The year is 1884. For centuries, warfare was defined by the speed of a human hand. Even the rapid-fire innovations of the American Civil War, like the Gatling gun, demanded manual cranking. But in a quiet workshop in London, an American expatriate was about to unleash a technological marvel that would forever change the face of conflict, ushering in an era where a single weapon could unleash a torrent of death previously unimaginable. This was the dawn of truly automatic warfare. The late 19th century was an age of unprecedented industrial and technological acceleration. Factories churned out steel and complex machinery, steam power drove industries, and scientific discoveries rapidly transformed daily life. This era of relentless innovation naturally extended to the instruments of war, as nations sought ever more efficient and devastating means to project power and defend their interests. Before Maxim, inventors had already made significant strides in rapid-fire weaponry. The American Civil War saw the widespread use of rifled muskets and the introduction of early repeaters like the Spencer and Henry rifles. Critically, the Gatling gun, patented in 1862 by Richard Gatling, offered impressive rates of fire by manually rotating multiple barrels, but it was still inherently dependent on human effort for its operation. While the Gatling gun and its contemporaries, like the French mitrailleuse or the Nordenfeldt gun, could deliver a concentrated volley of fire, they all shared a fundamental limitation: they required an external power source, be it a hand crank, lever, or gravity, to cycle each round. This made them complex, often heavy, and ultimately, not truly automatic in the sense we understand today. The dream of a weapon that fired continuously with a single pull of the trigger remained elusive. Enter Hiram Maxim, an American-born inventor who had already achieved considerable success in various fields, including electric lighting and projectile-based amusements. A restless innovator, Maxim emigrated to England in the early 1880s, reportedly after being advised by a friend, "If you want to make a lot of money, invent something that will enable these Europeans to cut each other's throats with greater facility." Maxim's genius lay in observing a simple principle: the powerful recoil generated by a fired bullet. For centuries, this recoil was seen as a nuisance, a force to be absorbed or counteracted. Maxim, however, envisioned harnessing this energy, transforming it from a liability into the very engine that would power the next cycle of firing. This single insight would become the cornerstone of his revolutionary design. His breakthrough was elegantly simple: use the gun's own recoil force, previously wasted, to eject the spent cartridge, load a new round, and recock the firing mechanism. This mechanical chain reaction meant that once the first shot was fired, the gun would continue to cycle and fire as long as the trigger was held down and ammunition was supplied. This was true automaticity, a self-sustaining cycle of destruction. On July 16, 1884, Hiram Maxim secured British patent number 16174 for his improvements in automatic guns. This patent marked the official birth of the first truly automatic, self-powered machine gun. While the initial prototype was crude, it demonstrated the viability of his recoil-operated system, a concept that would quickly prove its terrifying efficiency and adaptability across various calibers. Maxim wasted no time in showcasing his invention. In 1885, he conducted public demonstrations in London, inviting military officials, royalty, and journalists. The spectacle of a single weapon firing hundreds of rounds per minute, without manual intervention beyond feeding ammunition, was astounding. It elicited a mix of awe and dread, as observers grasped the profound implications for future warfare. The Maxim gun was characterized by several innovative features. It utilized a single barrel, which simplified design and improved accuracy compared to multi-barrel rotary guns. To prevent overheating during sustained fire, it incorporated a distinctive water cooling jacket around the barrel, holding approximately 7 pints of water, which boiled and evaporated during prolonged use. Ammunition was fed via a canvas belt, typically holding 250 rounds, which was pulled into the action by the gun's own recoil. This continuous feed mechanism, coupled with the automatic cycling, allowed for an astonishing rate of fire of approximately 600 rounds per minute, roughly 10 shots per second. Such sustained firepower was utterly unprecedented, transforming the battlefield into a lethal zone of suppressing fire. Despite its obvious capabilities, initial military adoption was not instantaneous. Traditionalists struggled to comprehend the logistical and tactical implications of such a weapon. However, visionary leaders in colonial powers, particularly the British Empire, quickly recognized its immense potential for maintaining order and projecting force against technologically inferior adversaries. The British Empire, with its vast colonial holdings and frequent small-scale conflicts, proved to be an ideal proving ground for the Maxim gun. The ability of a small detachment to deploy devastating firepower against numerically superior, but poorly armed, indigenous forces offered an unparalleled strategic advantage. This led to its rapid acquisition and deployment across imperial territories. One of the earliest and most brutal demonstrations of the Maxim gun's effectiveness came during the First Matabele War in southern Rhodesia, modern-day Zimbabwe, in 1893. A small force of the British South Africa Company, equipped with 5 Maxim guns, faced thousands of Ndebele warriors armed primarily with spears and shields. The technological disparity led to devastating results for the Ndebele. In the decisive engagements, such as the Battle of Shangani, the Ndebele warriors, renowned for their bravery and disciplined charges, were mown down by the hundreds. Their traditional tactics, so effective against rivals, were rendered suicidal by the sustained, overwhelming fire of the Maxim guns. The battle became a stark testament to the new era of technological warfare, where courage alone was insufficient. 5 years later, the Battle of Omdurman in Sudan, on September 2, 1898, solidified the Maxim gun's fearsome reputation. A British-Egyptian force commanded by General Horatio Herbert Kitchener confronted a dervish army of over 50,000 Mahdiist warriors. The battle became a textbook example of colonial technological superiority. Winston Churchill, then a young cavalry officer, witnessed the carnage firsthand, famously describing the effect of the Maxim guns. "It was not a battle but an execution." The actual physical effect of the Maxim gun was to sweep away the advancing dervishes in swathes. Over 5 hours, the Mahdiist forces launched repeated, desperate charges against the entrenched Anglo-Egyptian lines. The result was an utterly lopsided casualty count. The Mahdiist army suffered an estimated 10,000 to 12,000 killed, 13,000 wounded, and 5,000 captured. In stark contrast, the Anglo-Egyptian forces sustained fewer than 50 dead and around 400 wounded. This shocking disparity underscored the Maxim gun's capacity for mass slaughter, transforming warfare into a stark equation of technology versus human wave. The weapon's effectiveness quickly led to it being generically referred to simply as the Maxim gun, even when later improvements or variations were introduced by other manufacturers, like the Vickers machine gun. It became a byword for overwhelming firepower and technological dominance, a symbol of European imperial might. Recognizing its unparalleled lethality, major powers across the globe rapidly adopted and licensed the Maxim gun. Germany, Russia, Austria-Hungary, Italy, and the United States all either purchased Maxim guns or developed their own recoil-operated variants. The machine gun quickly became a standard armament for infantry, cavalry, and even early naval applications by the turn of the 20th century. Beyond its physical devastation, the Maxim gun exerted a profound psychological impact on the battlefield. The relentless, mechanical roar of hundreds of rounds per minute was terrifying to those facing it, instilling panic and shattering morale. It transformed the soundscape of war, replacing the individual crack of a rifle with a continuous, industrial torrent of fire. Crucially, a relatively small number of Maxim guns could achieve what previously required hundreds, if not thousands, of riflemen. A single Maxim gun, operated by a small crew, could lay down suppressing fire equivalent to an entire company of infantry. This efficiency allowed small colonial forces to control vast territories and decisively defeat far larger indigenous armies. While initially proving its worth in the open, asymmetric battlefields of colonial expansion, the Maxim gun's true, horrific potential would fully materialize in a different context. As the world lurched towards the First World War, military strategists began to envision its role not just in offense, but in dense, static defensive lines. Despite the clear lessons from colonial wars, many European military doctrines before World War I still emphasized offensive tactics, rapid maneuvers, and bayonet charges. The full implications of the machine gun's defensive power were not yet fully grasped by all high commands, leading to catastrophic miscalculations in the initial stages of the Great War. The Maxim gun, conceived as a tool for imperial dominance, inadvertently laid the groundwork for the unprecedented slaughter that would define the Western Front. Its ability to create impassable fields of fire would force soldiers into the earth, digging trenches for survival, and turn open ground into killing zones where massed assaults were suicidal. When the cult of the offensive met the Maxim-derived machine guns on the battlefields of 1914, the result was a brutal, bloody deadlock. Millions of men were sacrificed in futile frontal assaults against fortified positions armed with these automatic weapons, leading to casualty figures that dwarfed all previous conflicts. The Maxim gun, and the recoil-operated principle it pioneered, effectively ended the era of cavalry charges and massed infantry advances as viable offensive tactics. It forced a fundamental re-evaluation of military strategy and tactics, pushing armies towards entrenched warfare and the development of combined arms tactics, forever altering the landscape of battle. Hiram Maxim, knighted by Queen Victoria in 1901, passed away in 1916, ironically in the midst of the war his invention had so profoundly shaped. His legacy is complex, a brilliant inventor who revolutionized machinery, yet whose most famous creation became an instrument of unparalleled destruction, forever etched into the annals of human conflict. The recoil-operated principle pioneered by Maxim remains a cornerstone of firearms design to this day. From modern machine guns to many semi-automatic pistols and rifles, the fundamental concept of harnessing a weapon's own energy to cycle its action continues to be a standard. It is a testament to the enduring genius of Maxim's original 1884 patent. Hiram Maxim's machine gun irrevocably changed warfare, demonstrating a terrifying efficiency that reshaped colonial empires and brought about the industrialized slaughter of the First World War. It was the first storm of steel, but the Great War itself would unleash an even broader array of devastating new weapons, pushing the boundaries of human destruction to unimaginable limits.